Hey guys, and welcome back to Barrel Age Faith. We got breaking news. Dr. Joshua Sidiwaji, he basically is saying, he's doing a live interview right now, where he's basically saying that like Yahweh is God. Jesus is Yahweh, Jesus is God, and all of the above to kind of clear up the mess. And you can watch this interview on Inspiring Philosophy. And so I'll even just kind of share that with you. But I'm also doing a quick response dialogue with Nick Norelli. He did a response video to my recent video, Dr. Joshua. And there's a few things I want to bring up. But first, let me show you the clip with Dr. Joshua real quick. Let me pull it up here real quick. There it is. Here he is affirming that Jesus is Yahweh.
It's upset. So we thought we'd cover that, kind of go through some of that and see what you have to say about that. So yeah, welcome to the channel. Anything you want to say about that or anything in general, just have at it.
Yeah, so like I said before, thank you so much for having me on. And just going to take this opportunity to really lay out my position, because I think sometimes, especially in the debate format, you have a limited amount of time. You're trying to squeeze in as much information as possible. And then when you get it also into the dialogue section of it, you can't really bring out sort of the nuances of the Trinity. How does it fit with, I would say, the conciliar position? And then also answering sort of the question, that big question that, as you said, just sort of set people crazy, saying, what is he saying that Jesus isn't Yahweh? Because I will, well, at the beginning, in case anyone like just decides to click off right now, I do believe that Jesus is Yahweh. And I do believe that Jesus can be called Yahweh as well. But as with everything that happens to be with my positions and works, there are nuances to that. So I think I just didn't, as an offhand comment, I didn't really bring out that nuance that I wanted to. And so I'll have this opportunity, especially a bit later, to go into sort of the details of that.
Okay. So in that interview, which is still, I think, live streaming, you can watch him unpack his whole view. And I always said my last video of him that I wasn't there to like be an apologist or to defend his view, but simply that we need to be slow to call him a heretic, as some Catholics were like calling him an open Christological heretic very quickly. And so there he is saying, no, Jesus is like, he is Yahweh. And he'll unpack his views. So, and I'll let you guys dig into all that. There's a lot that we could talk about in regards to the views of Dr. Joshua, Dr. Branson, Father John Burr, all these Orthodox scholars, basically, and their views of the monarchical Trinity. So that's important. But I want to respond to Nick. And so let me show you real quick the video that he made. And I think Nick agrees partly with what I was saying. Which is good, because there you go. Hopefully you can see that. There he is. Make that a little bit bigger. This is Nick. He's got a channel. I just recently discovered him because I think he was on either with Sam Shamoon and William Albrecht and a few others. So I've just started seeing him online, and he's a Pentecostal, I think, associate pastor, and he defends the Trinity. So number one, that's kind of intriguing. And he defends the Orthodox model of the Trinity. He's a Cappadocian. I also find that very fascinating. So I want to talk about that. But first, let's go ahead and play a little clip from the video so you just know who he is. I'm not going to go through his whole video.
And being able to offer critical interaction with those arguments. If that's enough to qualify one to know it.
Nick, dude, might be a barber. You might talk theology when
Orthodox, brother. Let me see this.
So he's pulling me up.
If you follow them where they're going, all right? Knowingly, willingly. He knows what's going on. He embraces that. William Lane Craig is also what he calls a neo-Apollinarian. So he knows what Apollinarianism is.
Yeah, William Lane Craig's views is definitely heresy. But when you get into Dr. Joshua's views, he's staying within the parameters of the seven councils, the Christological councils. So we actually have councils that determine the canonical boundaries. And within that, you can have debates, right? And you may not even agree with Dr. Joshua, right? Again, I'm not saying I completely agree with him on everything, because he's continuing to lay it out, and he's written a lot and he's said a lot. But he's trying to operate within the Orthodox boundaries, and that's allowed to happen, okay? And we have hierarchs that can actually deal with these things as well. People will be like, oh, Orthodox can't deal with heresy. Yes, they can. I think that the Orthodox hierarchs can deal with heresy probably better than anyone in the modern age. Some people will say, I think it was the Catholic Christian guy who was like, how do Orthodox deal with the heresy of Protestantism? I'm like, you think that Catholicism deals with the heresies within Protestantism better than Orthodoxy? I would question that. But anyways, all that to be said, that's Nick. Seems like a nice guy, very thoughtful. He's definitely done a lot of work on the Trinity. Again, my focus on barrel-age faith is not the Trinity. I'm just kind of bringing this up because Dr. Joshua recently became Orthodox. And so people were like, hey, are we allowed to be excited about this? Is he sneaking in heretical views and all that? Well, it's like, well, he's saying the same thing that some other Orthodox scholars have said and say. Father John Beer, Dr. Bo Branson, and all that. So I wanted to make sure everybody kind of pumped the brakes for a second and realize, like, look, people can wrestle with his perspective. That's good. That's healthy, right? You don't have to agree with his perspective, but we got to be slow to call him like some kind of major Christological heretic or some kind of Arian or semi-Arian when he's the one that's like debating these guys. Like he's debating heretics. He wants everyone to believe, like Dr. Joshua wants people to believe that Jesus is divine, that he is God. So that's pretty key. Now, where I think Nick agrees with me on a couple points, and that's kind of what I want to really bring out into today's stream. The first is he agrees that Dr. Joshua may not be a heretic. He says, oh, his view could lead to heresy. Okay, that's a different argument, right? That's kind of what I was saying. I was like, we don't know exactly where he's coming from. When you say something could lead to heresy or it's kind of going in a direction that you don't like, oftentimes we see this when people are debating theology. There can be a spectrum within Orthodoxy, and your view is going to be closer to other perspectives that are going to be outside of that. And then what people oftentimes do, particularly online, is they use the slippery slope argument. Oh, well, he said this and now he's becoming Orthodox. And before that, he's going to be an Arian. And before that, he's going to be an atheist. So you see kind of people doing these sort of doomsdayer things. When Dr. Joshua was very seriously defending the Trinity and defending God and his faith in God. So we need to be careful that we're not using the slippery slope argument to try to like make it look like someone, oh, they've been darkened by leaving this or that. I mean, I've even had some people comment that about me, like, oh man, Kyle, since you've become Orthodox, you're kind of like you're not as nice as you used to be. You're a jerk since you apostatized. It's like, well, I'm still the same person. I was probably a jerk then, and I'm working on it now. But I try to be kind. I try to be cordial. I think you guys who follow the channel kind of know that about me. It doesn't mean I can't speak my opinion sometimes, but God forgive me for all those things. But think about this, like the slippery slope argument can really backfire on just about anybody. If you're saying something that's orthodox and true, then it's orthodox and true, or it's within those canonical boundaries of orthodoxy. Okay, so that's pretty important to know. And so Nick, it seems like he kind of agrees with me where he's saying his view could lead to heresy. Now, I didn't say that. I didn't say his view could lead to heresy. What I'm saying is he's within the bounds. It seems like his view is probably within the bounds of orthodoxy, and we got to be careful just kind of using the slippery slope argument about everything. Okay. Number two, I heard a comment, oh, if he just takes basic catechism classes, his views will change. Well, I mean, I think they'll be sharpened, but number one, he's relying on Orthodox scholars for his views. It probably led him to become Orthodox. So it's not like he's just going to get. We'll send Father John Beer to help straighten out his views. It's like, well, Dr. Joshua has the same views, and so that's something to keep in mind. Thirdly, I wanted to say this. Nick, who we're dialoguing with, I respect Nick because he's a Pentecostal defending the Trinity. Now, of course, I wanted to become Orthodox. I want every Christian to become Orthodox. But what I'm saying is, in Pentecostalism, you'll find Trinitarian heresies popping up all over the place. Oneness Pentecostalism, right? Where God is only one person, but he kind of shows up in different modes. So Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are just different modes, and there's not three persons. Okay, so that's one thing is that like you have three different modes, and you call that God. That's heresy. So that's Pentecostalism. Okay. Not all of Pentecostalism. That's just like a little segment. What I'm saying is I think that Nick is, in his deep dive of the Trinity as a Pentecostal, I bet one of the things that got him excited about studying the Trinity and defending it from the fathers was probably responding to oneness Pentecostalism, the heresy of that. I could be wrong, but if I were just to guess, that's probably the case. I wanted to also add this. When I have a Pentecostal pastor friend who I don't think he was ever oneness. I think he was Trinitarian, but he now only says that there's only two persons in the Trinity, which I was really surprised to hear him say, my Pentecostal friend, pastor friend. And now he's written a book called, I think, The Two Powers, and a lot of it's rooted in the work of Dr. Michael Heiser in Second Temple period Judaism, which I'm not saying that when you study the two powers, that's heresy. What I'm saying is he took that and then developed that into a New Testament doctrine and said, there are only two persons in God. This is my Pentecostal pastor friend. There's only the Father and there's only the Son, and the Spirit is just of them, and he's not a third person. So that's a different form of Pentecostal heresy. That's not very popular, by the way, but this is a new heresy, unfortunately, that my friend is spreading. So that's unfortunate. And so it's good to have somebody like Nick in Pentecostal circles defending not only the Trinity, but the Orthodox model, the Cappadocian monarchical model. I mean, Nick said that he doesn't embrace the filioque, and he doesn't think that the Spirit, the Son, is a cause of the Spirit, and that he holds to like the Orthodox Cappadocian model of the Trinity. So that's the Pentecostal Nick, who we're talking about, and so that's pretty cool. If Nick 600 years ago was at the failed Council of Florence when Catholics and Orthodox got back together, they attempted to get back together, but it failed. Nick, if he was being consistent, would have fallen on the Orthodox side because, well, Protestantism didn't exist yet. Pentecostalism didn't exist yet. And so that's fascinating to me that we've got Nick responding to my video, and he's defending the Orthodox model of the Trinity. He is providing important, I think, balancing feedback. And now Dr. Joshua is live streaming, being interviewed, declaring, defining and giving more details to his view. So that's good. But I just wanted to hop on here and just say that a couple things real quick in response to Nick. And Nick, I hope it'd be great to continue having dialogue with you. It looks like you're doing good work. One of the things that I wanted to offer here at the end was this. In the same way that the fathers carefully guard the Trinity, and you see that in the Nicene Creed, and you see that in this kind of conciliar model of the Trinity, the fathers also guarded carefully worship. Our understanding of the structure of the church, of salvation and theosis, and all of these things. So what I'm kind of committing Nick to do is to say, look, the same way that you're like fiercely defending the Trinity against some of these heretical understandings of the Trinity that you particularly find in Pentecostalism, oneness, and then what I just said about my friend who holds the two powers, only two persons in the Godhead, not three, that you take that same model and you apply it to other doctrines, right? Why? Because my Pentecostal friend is getting this from the scriptures. He's done all of his exegesis. He's got a whole book. He's relying on sola scriptura on his model of the two persons in God, but not three. So that's kind of interesting. And so that's why the fathers are so important. the fathers help us guard not just our Trinitarian understanding of God, but also other doctrines, okay? Like how we are to worship, the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist, baptismal regeneration, the sacraments, bishops, presbyters, and deacons, the priesthood, the connection of them to the altar. All of this you find in the fathers, particularly even as early as St. Ignatius of Antioch, who's the son of the disciples. Okay, so I'm just throwing that out there that, look, this is, I appreciate your work in defending the Trinity. It's awesome that you're defending the Cappadocian Orthodox model, and hopefully we apply that across the board. All right. Hey, Nick's jump. He's in the stream. Thanks for chiming in, man. I'm on my way to Orthodoxy for the record. That's awesome. That's so exciting. And he's I'm ex-Pentecostal. I didn't know. Sorry, this is somebody else saying, I'm ex-Pentecostal, discovering the monarchical Trinity, and it finally answered my questions. Cool, man. Well, guys, great having you on the stream today. Again, this was just kind of a short one, but I appreciated Nick's like tone and respect, and we need a lot more of that online. It's really easy to get the sword out to decapitate others, to throw them and to the internet chopping block. But I think it's important to dialogue and make sure that we understand their view, particularly if they're like heavy academics. We got to be careful in understanding their view first. It's important. Now, there are a lot of academics who go crazy, and we need to throw their stuff under the bus. That's totally fine. But we need to be careful that we understand where they're coming from. So I think that's important. All right, guys, that's what I wanted to share about Dr. Joshua. Again, he's going to be coming on in July. My goal, I got to talk to Dr. Joshua. My goal is actually not to talk about the Trinity on my stream, because my channel doesn't focus a ton on the Trinity. Well, it focuses, of course, on the Trinity. But what I'm saying is, like, it's not like I'm not like an expert on the Trinity like some people are. What I do want to say, though, is this. When it comes to dialoguing and Dr. Joshua, is that we just got to be slow, and we got to be careful about what we're saying with all that. Okay. Well, guys, have an amazing day. We'll see you guys next time on Barrel Age Faith. Got a video that's coming out too on our feast of Saint Joseph of Arimathea and Saint Nicodemus, two saints that I love. And I'll be talking about the Orthodox tradition in reference to these two awesome saints that we actually celebrate today on today's calendar, Saint Nicodemus and Saint Joseph of Arimathea. Of course, they buried our Lord. And Saint Joseph of Arimathea became an Orthodox bishop, possibly in the UK. And Saint Nicodemus may have been martyred. There's different traditions about him, but they're both. I love going to some of these services, particularly Friday night of Holy Friday, where the myrrh-bearing women and Saint Joseph of Arimathea and Saint Nicodemus are mentioned just over and over and over again. So that's today's feast day, and I've got a short video coming out on that soon. All right, guys, we'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.